Dubai, the Middle East financial center, has been paralyzed by heavy rain and storm that has caused widespread flooding around the desert country. Reportedly, 28 India flights have been cancelled because of it. The record rainfall has resulted in delayed or diverted flights, while cars have been left stranded on flooded roads. Passengers have been warned not to come to Dubai Airport, the world's busiest by international traffic, unless absolutely necessary. Over 500 flights, both inbound and outbound, have been diverted, delayed or cancelled as the weather department predicts more rain and storms today. Authorities have cancelled about 15 flights bound for Dubai, while 13 flights to India have been cancelled. Dubai's flagship Emirates airline said it is halting all check-ins for passengers for the day as bad weather in Dubai has caused a travel chaos. The United States is investigating options to create a new mechanism for monitoring sanctions on North Korea's nuclear program. The U.S. ambassador to the United Nations said on Wednesday that Washington is looking at options within and outside the United Nations. Meanwhile, Russia last month vetoed a UN Security Council resolution to renew the UN panel that has been overseeing Pyongyang's compliance with international sanctions. According to reports, the US is looking to engage with allies South Korea, Japan, and the other like-minded countries on alternatives. Moscow's veto effectively abolished the regime which was established to monitor North Korea's compliance with the United Nations sanctions imposed over its nuclear weapons and ballistic missile programs nearly 20 years ago. The Russian move follows accusations from the US, South Korea, and others that Pyongyang is supplying Moscow with weapons to use in its war in Ukraine. As concerns over the threat of full-scale war in the Middle East persist, Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi reiterated that even the slightest attack will be met with a strong and fierce response. President Ebrahim Raisi's warning came on Wednesday as he spoke at Iran's annual army parade. The world is braced for potential retaliation to Iran's attack on Israel, which took place over the weekend. Israel has pledged to respond despite calls for it to hold back, persisting on all sides, and the UK's foreign minister suggested on Wednesday as he visited Israel that it has decided to act. Speaking at the ceremony, Raisi hailed Iran's direct attack on Israel, dubbed "True Promise," and reiterated recent threats of strong and fierce response. Since Operation Al-Aqsa Flood, an attack on Israel by the Palestinian group Hamas in October set off the war in Gaza, Iranian allies in Lebanon and Yemen have been engaged in low-level hostilities with Israel. However, a suspected Israeli strike on Iran's consulate in Syria on April 1 prompted Iran's first ever direct attack against Israel. A Russian missile attack killed at least 13 residents and damaged buildings and municipal infrastructure in the northern Ukrainian city of Chernihiv today. As Russia continues to pound Ukrainian cities starved for air defense, the country's top officials intensified pleas for international support, saying the devastation could have been avoided. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called for determination and support from allies hours after the attack. Ukraine is facing a shortage of ammunition with vital funding from the US blocked by Republicans in Congress for months and the EU failing to deliver munitions on time. Chernihiv's acting mayor Alexander Lomako said 3 explosions ripped through a busy part of the city just after 9 a.m. local time, destroying a multi-story building. The strike also damaged 4 multi-story buildings, a hospital and education facility, and dozens of cars. Australia will boost defense spending by $32 billion over the next decade and reshuffle its weapons programs to emphasize missiles, drones and warships as it looks to the possibility of a Pacific conflict between China and the US. The bulk of the new spending, a part of $330 billion Australian decade-long budget, will only kick in after 5 years and ultimately take defense spending to 2.4% of GDP by 2034 from just over 2% today. Announced by Defense Minister Richard Marles on Wednesday, the new funding reflects on new priorities such as long-range missiles that Australia believes are necessary in a world where a potential conflict between China and the United States could upend the region.